Jamahal Hill, boy, this is a tough one, guys. This is a tough one, and this story takes a lot of different terms. I'm assuming that you already know. Jamahal Hill, who yesterday was the light heavyweight champion of the world, has now vacated the belt. So light heavyweight has no champion. That right there is a very fascinating thing. And why would Jamahal give up the belt? Why would he possibly give up the belt? I can tell you the reasons why you want it. I can tell you the reasons why you would hold on to it. And I can't, while racking my brain, and I don't have a lot of history behind me, by the way. I can't turn to 3 and 4 and 5 examples since 1993 when we started doing this thing where this situation has happened as a way to guess from a probability standpoint what exactly went on with him. And guys, maybe it's nothing. Maybe it's as straight as he's telling us, which is I got hurt. I got this opportunity to be the champion of the world. I got the opportunity because the previous champion, Yuri Prochazka, got hurt. And instead of holding up the division, he gave them the belt back. He said, I'm not going to be doing it because I'm dealing with this. You guys, 2 new guys, go have an opportunity. And he said, because that was done for me and I see the importance and I now know because of this Achilles injury that I'm going to do the same thing. Guys, maybe it's no deeper than that. And by the way, if that's what it is, that is sportsmanship to the highest level. And I will see people hide behind anti-competitiveness in the name of sportsmanship. I will see that often. That's not what this is. This is amazing. And if I can just throw myself in there, but the first time I ever spoke about Jamahal Hill, I sat right in this chair. My opening line, I remembered, I said, guys, I couldn't like this. Jamahal Hill, I couldn't like this guy anymore. I went on from there. It was the first time that he fought on television, and he'll go back. So I've been along this journey with him. I've kind of been along this journey. And let me just tell you guys how this happened. So you don't have a lot of experience with Achilles injuries like this, do you? You've heard of ACLs, and you've heard of MCLs, and of course you've heard of the broken bones, and of course you've heard of the separated shoulders, right? Classmates coming in on Monday because they fell off a horse over the weekend. But Achilles is different. I'm a very big fan and follower, and my kids participate in gymnastics. And it's a pretty common injury for gymnasts. It's a bear. I mean, as far as injuries go, this is the bear. And it is fixable, but you're talking about a year, and you're talking about real good medicine, you're talking about real good doctors, you're talking about doing a real good job of being disciplined with your physical therapy, and you're looking at a year. Now, set that aside. How and when did this happen? I think, do you guys know about the basketball game they played at International Fight Weekend? This was great, and above it being great, it was even better idea. I offer that because the organizer of this is probably being told, don't ever organize this again. Well, hold on. This is very much an unforeseen. Oh, and by the way, Jamahal Hill plays basketball all the time. That's what he did in college. He loves playing basketball. So somebody got together. I want to say maybe they put it on Fight Pass, but maybe not. But they got a gym, they got a ball, and they got a bunch of fighters together, and they put some teams. I saw Jamahal Hill playing. I saw Daniel Cormier out there playing. It was cool, man. That was cool. Whoever thought to do that, I really think, supposed to never do it again, I wish they would have lit it up a little bit more. I thought it was a pretty fun thing, and it's also very common, by the way. You get to MMA gyms, there's generally a game. At high-level sports, you will go back to young age games, 7th and 8th grade games. Dodgeball is a big one. Handball is a big one, which is essentially the same thing. Soccer right there on the mats is a big one. And it's just a way of tricking guys into running, right? Every gym that you've ever seen, every diet guru, every book you've ever read, you read those things because the one thing that works, which is put on your shoes, open the front door, and come back 40 minutes later, is boring. It's too mundane and it's too difficult. So you got to trick guys, right? Go grab the rope, do this, grab the dumbbells, go like this, get on the bike, get on the air. All these things exist because the one thing that works is a little bit mundane. So you trick guys. You give them a basketball, you have them go run around, 45 minutes later, they're soaking in sweat. Sometimes they're warmed up and ready to go to practice. Sometimes they're done. Hey, you've been sprinting up and down the court. Great job. Go home. It's one of these things. When I look at Jamahal, first person to respond to him on social media that I saw was Prochazka. And again, guys, I'm operating under the assumption that Jamahal Hill suffered an injury and literally was so unselfish and remembered what happened to himself that he said, get on with it, and he created this massive opportunity. And Prochazka put out a tweet. Thought this was interesting, guys. And all this backstory, to ease into this, Prochazka said, who should be next then? Speaking about for himself. Then he offered a suggestion. The winner of Blachowicz Pereira? Question mark. Hashtag I am the champion. And that's where things get interesting. I responsibly cannot tell you there's anything else going on here. I can't do that responsibly. I can tell you that from a circumstantial evidence standpoint, you could convince 1 of 12 people not smart enough to get out of jury duty for sure. This whole thing doesn't seem right. And I'm going back to Prochazka suffering a shoulder injury said to be the worst that the world's ever seen. Being stripped of the belt after 2 weeks, but this was simultaneous with Francis Ngannou having a knee injury, having a contract dispute, and having not, at this point in the story, Francis had not competed in 10 months. Yuri Prochazka competed a number of weeks before. So it didn't feel right. We then get told, again, I'm still on Prochazka, but then we then get told that there was a record set by USADA. They had tested him 22 times in 25 days. I'm changing the numbers, but I'm close. It was something ridiculous. Then a game got played on, we stripped him, he relinquished, and that was the biggest red flag of all of them, of why are we playing that semantical game? And while all of that felt weird, we got evidence that it was in the fact that Prochazka is apparently back. I mean, he's apparently back. He's wanted to know if he should take on the winner of Pereira Blachowicz. And if, in fact, Prochazka is back, why was a match between Prochazka and Jamahal not made? I'm not good with dates off the top of my head, right? I'm not good with it because I'm not a nerd. It's not because I'm not an intelligent guy. I'm not a nerd. I don't sit around and remember these kinds of things. Well, UFC 184. I don't do that, but I happen to know the date of Jamal's last fight because it was in January, and the relevance to that is the belt was supposed to be established in December. It ended in a draw, so they turned it around to the very next pay-per-view, which happened to be in January, and Jamal was on the card already. They broke up a fight that put him and Glover together, the straps on the line. So January, like nobody knows how far away January was from where we sit right now in July. Like that math is impossible to do, but it feels like over half a year. So you have a brand new, healthy, ready champion that not only couldn't get booked, there wasn't even a rumor that he was going to get booked. So now we have the former champion, who I do fully believe if he steps back in right into a title shot, I think that makes a lot of sense. That's not how this is done. That's not how this has ever been done. You walked away from the belt. And I'm just sharing that you walked away from the belt. I fully support you. You got better and you come back in. But to act as though that would be the title fight, that's just not how this is done. How this is done is you would look at the best fight that we've got made right now and you would announce that the belt is now part of that fight. Which means you wouldn't wait for Prochazka to allegedly return, considering he hasn't, and you would go right to Pierre Blachowicz and you would announce that that is now for the belt. That historically is how this will be done, but there is nothing about this story and there's nothing about this division that is regular. I have no evidence to be telling you. I really don't. The evidence I got is you got some really good sports here. You got some guys that are really honorable guys that did a really cool thing. And I'm very compelled to make sure I give them credit. But to act as though, from a circumstantial standpoint, looking at a puzzle that dates back to 1993 and not having one single event be in line with any other story that you want to juxtapose it with, something weird is going on at 205 pounds, guys. I don't have it yet. I don't know what it is. But there's something.